We will begin today's Katha session. The story is about Tadaka Shiv Yoga by young Lord Ram in Tadaka's forest. The seventh session of Charan Puja started at Brahma Muhurt on the second day of Sakshat Hanuman Puja. Yajman of this session was a Mathan man called Pranava. His soul was purified by Lord Hanuman by telling him Lord Hanuman's leelas in Tadaka's forest. Lord Hanuman told, O Mathams, when Lord Srirama came of age, Rishi Vishwamitra got the honor of initiating him into the work he had taken birth for. The two elder princes of Ayodhya, Ram and Lakshman, left the comfort and safety of their palace and headed for their first direct encounter with the Asuras. The royal chariot dropped them at the boundary of the kingdom from where they had to walk barefoot like sannyasis do. Their feet touching the earth lightly as though kissing it, their mind fully present in the present moment and completely free from any thoughts about future or past. Days and nights rolled before them like a welcoming carpet as Rishi Vishwamitra told them stories from the world of the rishis and the gods. One afternoon, as they resumed their journey after having the day's lunch, they felt something unwelcoming about the sky ahead. Unusual and ominous, deep green clouds were visible at the horizon. Lakshman's hand involuntarily reached for his quiver. Sri Rama remained calm but alert. You see these mysterious clouds over there? Vishwamitra offered to calm their anxious curiosity. Those are not clouds, those are trees of the Tadaka's forest. That forest is one of our destinations in this journey. As they moved further, they realized that the impression of the dark clouds on the horizon was created by very dense and tall trees covered by the dark sky over Tadaka's forest. Their steps had suddenly become brisk, as though something was pulling them towards the forest. Lord Ram noticed that the path to the jungle, right through the thickets of young trees and bushes, was suspiciously clear. There were no thorns or twigs to watch out for. They would have covered the path to Tadaka's forest in no time if it was not for an obstruction which came in the form of cries of help from a man who was being chased by a herd of furious elephants. First set of arrows were shot by Lakshman. He uprooted small trees with his arrows and tried to put hurdles on the path of elephants. While Prince Ram was standing still, trying to gauge the situation, Lakshman ran through the thickets, shooting arrows. After giving some thought, young Sri Rama ran behind Lakshman, but he did not shoot even a single arrow. Lakshman single-handedly chased away the elephants and reached the man who was severely wounded. Take me to my Gurudev's ashram, mumbled the wounded man, trying to gesture in the direction away from Tadaka's forest. Lord Rama looked indecisive for some reason. Lakshman, however, lifted the man in his arms and started running towards the ashram. Lord Ram shook his head as though trying to keep a part of himself engaged in the ongoing events, like this. Stop right there, Lakshman, Lord Rama shouted. There is something wrong here. This may be a trap. Not an evil trap though. Rishi Vishwamitra had reached there. He said, I have created many traps here to keep people from walking into Tadaka's forest. See, you were headed towards Tadaka's forest. This trap made you head in the opposite direction. Lord Ram breathed a sigh of relief. Lakshman stood there frozen, like someone had just realized he was in a quicksand. He did not know what to do with the body of the wounded man in his arms. Rishi Vishwamitra said, Boys, I wanted you to have a first-hand experience of this kind of a trap before we enter Tadaka's forest. Lord Rama said, Gurudev, a part of me was aware that this was an engineered situation. but another part of me just skidded along with the events that unfolded. The wounded man in Lakshman's arms stopped groaning and fell into unconsciousness. Gesturing towards that body, Rishi Vishwamitra said, "O sons of Dasharatha, this man is visible to all three of us right now. How could you tell that it is an illusion and not a reality? You can feel the weight of the body. Lakshman, can't you?" "A lot," Lakshman grimaced. He hoped that Rishi Vishwamitra would ask him to lay the body on the ground, but he was not allowed any such relief. "I conjured this man merely by the power of my mind, just like a thought. My thoughts remain mine unless I make others entertain them. Similarly, this man should be visible only to me unless I decide to project this in your life. How do I do that?" Rishi Vishwamitra said, flicking his eyes from Lakshman to Ram. Prince Ram quietly said, "I felt like I was split into two parts of me. One part of me was aware that this was an illusion. Another part was overcome by compassion for the man crying for help and concern about Lakshman trying to run for help. One was the real Ram and another was the unreal Ram. The unreal Ram was created by me. So which one of them won? Real Ram or unreal Ram?" "None, Gurudev," Prince Ram replied. "I remained confused between the two." So there was a tug of war between real Ram and unreal Ram. The unreal Ram tried to pull the real Ram with the rope of compassion and concern, but the unreal Ram failed to overpower the real Ram. Rishi Vishwamitra said, glancing fleetingly at Lakshman to ascertain that he was listening carefully. Gathering his thoughts, Lord Rama said quietly, "Gurudev, this is what I have understood so far. You conjured this man out of nowhere. To convince me that this man was real, you went one step further and conjured an unreal Ram out of nowhere. Unreal Ram dragged the real Ram into thinking that this man and his cries of help were real. Yes, this much understanding is enough for the purpose of this conversation." Rishi Vishwamitra said with a dash of intellectual satisfaction glittering on his face. A little of princely glow returned on Lakshman's otherwise pale face as the body in his arm vanished into thin air. Rishi Vishwamitra continued, "You will get a clear demonstration of this phenomenon in the Tadaka forest. At this stage, I only want you to remind that antidote to such an illusion is Shiva Yoga. I assume Rishi Vishwamitra has already taught you Shiva Yoga, but none of you have perfected it yet. Now Lakshman, jog your memory and remind yourself what Shiva Yoga is all about." Lakshmana replied with expressions of guilt on his face, "Gurudeva, before reacting to any situation, we should pause for a moment and practice Shiva Yoga, which is Shiva Yoga in that moment. In that moment, we should become like Shiva, indifferent to every single emotion and detached from every single entity. In that moment, you should take a decision on how to react to the situation in hand. But you didn't put that into practice, did you?" Vishwamitra said with a stern look. "You heard cries of help from a man chased by elephants. You should have paused for a moment for Shiva Yoga before reacting. But you didn't. And you, Ram," Vishwamitra said to Ram sternly, "when you take a decision in Shiva Yoga, you need to stick to it. If confusion strikes, go into Shiva Yoga moment again and clear your doubts." Vishwamitra did not wait for any response from the princess. He turned back and started strolling towards the path which led to the Tadaka forest. Lakshman realized that he was bruised all over his lower legs. Ram bent down to check his brother's feet. Lakshman placed one hand on Ram's shoulder and lifted his legs one by one. Rama removed all the thorns from Lakshman's feet and walked him carefully to the clear path where Rishi Vishwamitra was busy in scrutinizing the surroundings for possible danger. When they started walking towards the Tadaka forest, Rishi Vishwamitra said, "O young men, before we enter the forest, I want you to know why Tadaka became a demoness." Breathing a sigh of remorse, he added, as a Rishi, I don't hesitate to admit that the Rishi community is equally responsible for creating this demoness. After a small thoughtful pause, Rishi Vishwamitra took a deep breath and said, "Well, I have been a rebel against the current system. I have my prejudices and I am aware of them. I don't want to cloud your mind with my prejudices. So I will state some bare facts about the life of Tadaka. At a very young age, she encountered the question, who am I? And got the spark needed to move on the path of supreme knowledge. Ideally, how should a society respond to such a girl?" Prince Ram was not expecting a question. He cleared his throat hastily and said, "Ideally, she should find a guru and start her journey on the supreme path, Gurudev. I must add here that she was from the family of forest dwellers of Nishadas. That means that she was a part of a family tradition which approves, for instance, killing of animals for fun, food and rituals. In current system, Rishis don't accept Nishadas as their disciples. Prithus are supposed to discover promising talents in the Nishada community and then help those talents in rising to the level of the Prithus." "Well, I don't see any problem here, Gurudev." Words spurted out of Lakshman's mouth unconsciously. He hesitatingly added, "I mean, if she was a Nishada, she could have participated in any of the activities organized by Prithus, especially for the purpose of spotting Nishada community talents. In Ayodhya, I have seen many such competitions where Prithus spot promising Nishadas and adopt them as wives, husbands, sisters, brothers and so on." Rishi Vishwamitra waited for Prince Ram's remark on Lakshman's statement. Ram didn't speak even a word. Rishi Vishwamitra continued, "O sons of Dasharatha, for the first time, from the time of first spark to the time of surrender to a guru, every seeker goes through a phase of rebellion. In that phase, a true Nishada seeker would disdain the very idea of a test or competition organized by Prithus. And any true seeker would have thoughts like this: who are the Prithus to test my state of awareness? Who are they to certify my purity of soul? In my opinion, only mediocre Nishadas take part in such competitions. They may rise to the level of Prithus, but they would never get the supreme knowledge. Can you name a single Nishada who went through such competitions and went on to become a Rishi?" Lakshmana could not answer. He looked at his brother Ram. Ram thoughtfully said, "Gurudeva, ideally there should be no system of sorting out Prithus and Nishadas. The union could have made her a Prithu. Then another spontaneous meet with a Rishi would have done the job. Young Tadaka knew no hymns or mantras to call upon the gods. How could the gods have reached out to her? With the habit of committing evil deeds like killing animals and troubling travelers, she was not deemed eligible for the attention of the gods. If she was doing evil deeds, why are you sympathetic to her, Gurudev?" Lakshman thought to himself but did not dare to speak. "O Mathangs, Lord Ram too did not speak at this, though he had resolved that from that moment onward, one hymn would suffice to seek his guidance. The one-word hymn is Ram. Even a small child would be able to know this hymn. Any soul, be it from family of animal killers like the Nishadas, or from the family of compassionate Prithus would get his guidance even if they unknowingly uttered this hymn, Ram. Rishi Vishwamitra resumed the story of Tadaka. O princess of Ayodhya, gods did not attend to this curious Nishada girl Tadaka, but the master of Asuras, Shukracharya did. At that time, Shukracharya had a king called Sumali in his control. He arranged a spontaneous encounter of Sumali and Tadaka. Sumali married her and took her to his kingdom. There he taught her the dark knowledge, the knowledge which is at par with the knowledge of rishis, but used for evil purposes instead of moksha. Sumali also fathered a girl with her named Kaikeshi. As per the plan, Shukracharya arranged a separation between Sumali and Tadaka, a very cruel separation. Sumali tortured Tadaka for many days and then left her alone at the banks of the Saryu river. He did not give her daughter's custody to her. This torture from husband Sumali and the cruel separation from her daughter left a deeply negative impact on the psyche of Tadaka. Here at the banks of the Saryu river, she started using her dark knowledge to torture people, to mask the bruises on her own soul. She married another evil man called Sunda here and gave birth to two boys called Marichi and Subabu. Sunda got killed because of Rishi Agastya. She resolved to take revenge of Sunda's death from the entire Rishi community. She is very old now and lives here in the confinements of this forest. She has never gone out of this forest since. She has never encountered a Rishi face to face, but her dark powers are now so powerful that they interfere with the meditation of Rishis. She is taking revenge from Rishis without even having to step out of this forest. The Tadaka forest was very near now. Rishi Vishwamitra slowed down his pace so that he could complete his point about the social system he disliked. He said, on the other hand, Tadaka's daughter Kaikeshi got married to Rishi Vishrava. I asked Vishrava why he committed this blunder. He said he followed the rule book. The rule says that a Rishi can marry the daughter of a king even if she is a Nishada or a Prithu. Everyone knows that Sumali is evil. Still, Rishi Vishrava felt confident that he could bring Sumali's Nishada daughter to the level of Rishis. He not only married her, but also fathered a son with her called Ravana. It was too late when he realized the mistake. He abandoned Kaikeshi and allowed her the custody of their child. Kaikeshi went back to her father Sumali, where this child Ravana has now grown up. A child of a Rishi brought up by the evil Sumali. A huge disaster, I must say. Thanks to this social system and the rule book, Lakshmana thought to himself, both Tadaka and her daughter Kaikeshi were Nishadas. Tadaka had the yearning for supreme law knowledge, but no Rishi married her because she was not from a royal family. On the other hand, her daughter Kaikeshi had no signs of a seeker. Still a Rishi married her because she was the daughter of a king. Gurudeva is rightly cursing the system. The princess of Ayodhya had no more time to think about the system as they stood before the immediate and the real danger, the Tadaka's forest. At the outset, it looked like an ordinary forest. But when they entered inside and had a careful look at the shadows cast by trees, they felt something strange about the sight. It looked as though the forest was not lit by one, but by two dim suns. Two suns or two eyes of the demoness. This thought sent a chill down Lakshmana's body. Sounds of the forest were coming from unusual sources, but the way they were reaching their ears Sound from the forest were coming from usual sources, but the way they were reaching their ears was unusual. He felt as though the sounds were being swept away from them, towards something giant placed inside the forest. Is the demoness trying to listen to our footsteps with her giant ears? Lakshmana thought. Both the princes kept their bows at the ready and started moving cautiously. They met their enemy soon enough, but it was not some giant demoness they expected. It was their own clones. Exact clones of all three of them were walking alongside them at a distance. Rishi Vishwamitra did not even turn his head a fraction. Prince Ram shot a furtive glance on his clone, which was walking alongside him a few feet away, and Lakshmana could not help but stare at his own clone. He hadn't had such a fascinating experience ever in his life. Just now Vishwamitra had told him, practice Shiv Yoga, but he is getting immersed completely deep into that drama, into the illusion. Rishi Vishwamitra, no, he hadn't had, Before he could establish a good eye contact with his clone's eyes, Rishi Vishwamitra loudly whispered, without even turning his head, Shiv Yoga Lakshman, Shiv Yoga. Shiva is indifferent to both fascination and boredom. This thought struck like a hammer in Lakshman's mind, and he started looking straight. Rishi Vishwamitra whispered loudly, those identical figures of ours are a creation of Tadaka's mind. She will exercise all her powers to make us believe that those bodies are real and we are unreal. Shiv Yoga is the only antidote to this illusion, which you have to practice yourself. Do not worry, Gurudev, Lakshman replied in a whisper. I was amused, not lost. Only a fool would believe that they are real. They are mimicking us, whispering as we whisper, looking where we look, doing everything we do. There is nothing original or real about them. Rishi Vishwamitra frowned at Lakshmana and said quietly with forceful expressions, soon you will forget who is mimicking whom. You will forget which one is real. The real Lakshman will vanish into thin air, and your soul will start identifying itself with the unreal Lakshman. Then your soul will become a slave of Tadaka like hundreds of other slaves living in this forest. Stop being childish and practice Shiv Yoga. So, very important that we also realize, see, it is our own character which we have thought is real. Our soul, once it occupies this body, we start thinking that this body is real. And this is what is happening too. So if you remember that, the other book that I was reading, right, where the soul, there is an iron piece on a magnet, and when the magnet is pulled, the iron piece also feels like it is being pulled. The iron is iron. It doesn't have to follow the magnet. Alright, or rather, the iron is pulled and the magnet goes behind it. The magnet has its own magnetic strength. It doesn't have to follow the iron. It can go anywhere else. But the iron piece is so strongly attached now that the magnet follows the iron piece. Similarly, it is this way. If Lakshmana starts looking at those characters, soon he will feel that unreal character is him. Just like the way we feel that this unreal body is us. We have forgotten, right, that we are not this body. It is very similar. Oh Mathans, there was a reason, and the Shiv Yoga is exactly what meditation is all about, what that movie that we watched is all about, where we cease to see ourselves from a third perspective. We don't take a step back and feel that, okay, like for example me, I don't feel that this is the character Anil who's facing these problems. I'll say I am facing these problems. Oh Mathans, there was a reason why the young princess of Ayodhya had walked into the forest barefoot like sages. For neither a rishi nor a warrior, neither a god nor a human could defeat Tadaka. Only an entity which could be a rishi, a warrior, a god and human at the same time could dismantle the evil fortress of Tadaka. The pair of Rama and Lakshmana, it was exactly that entity. Lakshmana and his human tendencies were not a liability on Ram, it was an asset. The inhabitants of Tadaka's forest seemed normal. Prince Ram had a good look at the 2-3 men resting under a tree, a group of 4-5 children playing nearby, a group of women playing the game of pebbles under another tree. None of them had any signs of torture. Actually, they even looked healthier than the dwellers of other forests. Hello there, never saw you here before. You seem to be first-time travelers in this forest. A man almost double the size of Prince Ram's age was walking towards the clones of Rama, Lakshmana and Vishwamitra. There he can see that what's all happening. It seems we are not visible to the people of this forest. Real Lakshmana whispered. Yes, they seem to see only our unreal selves. Real Ram whispered back. Unreal Ram replied to this stranger man. Yes, we are traveling for the first time through this forest. My name is Ram and my name is Lakshman. The unreal Lakshman added. Strangely, when the unreal Lakshman spoke, the real Lakshmana also felt the urge to speak the same words. He felt his lips move and he repeated the same words in his mind. And my name is Lakshman. He whispered loudly, Shiv Yoga Lakshman, Shiv Yoga, be like Shiva, who is indifferent and detached from both the questions and the answers. Stay indifferent to the questions this man is posing to the unreal you. The unreal selves of the 3 travelers had come to a stop to talk to the forest dweller man. The real Ram, the real Lakshman and real Vishwamitra too felt the urge to stop. Real Ram whispered, we are feeling the urge to mimic the actions of our unreal selves. When they speak something, we tend to speak. When they stop, we tend to. So is the reverse also true? And what is your name, forest dweller? Real Ram loudly said, imagining that the forest dweller was facing him instead of the unreal Ram. Interestingly, his unreal self repeated the exact same words. And what is your name, forest dweller? The forest dweller turned suddenly rude. He shouted, intruders do not need to know my name. Real Ram said, oh brother, this is reminding me of exorcism. You know when an evil spirit is in the body and it is being exorcised, they say if the evil spirit says its name, then the entity becomes weak. So the first thing they do is try to take them, they ask them, Pata kaun hai tu? Right. Tell me your name, what is your name? So if the entity will not tell its name. But finally when it tells, and if it tells its name, then they identify the entity, right? Then the entity becomes weak. Similarly, even here, she is not ready to tell her name. Because actually, who is that person? The unreal person. It is all Tadaka only, right? So Tadaka has created this unreal persons. So if she tells her name that it is Tadaka, then the game is up. So she's not telling. Intruders do not need to know my name. Real Ram said, oh brother, I am the prince of Ayodhya and I have come to rescue you from this trap of the demoness Tadaka. This time the unreal Ram did not repeat the exact same words. He insisted, oh despicable Nishada, I have come here to kill you and every Nishada who lives in this forest. To relieve the earth from the burden you people are, real Vishwamitra whispered. See, our unreal selves are not mimicking us. They are saying what Tadaka wants them to say. Real Ram quietly said, Gurudev, I guess we have at least some control over our unreal selves. If we speak something they tend to speak, though not necessarily the exact same words. They tend to mimic us, but Tadaka is filtering what they should mimic and what they should modify. Real Ram, ouch! Real Ram winced in pain. He felt as though someone had hit him with a stick. Actually, it was unreal Ram who was hit by the forest dweller. But real Ram too felt the pain. He immediately observed a Shiva Yoga moment and detached himself from the pain. Intruder, oppressor, the forest dweller shouted as he aimed another blow at the unreal Ram. It missed the unreal Ram and hit unreal Lakshman. The real Ram too groaned in pain. It felt as though someone invisible had hit him. He threw punches in the air. Real Ram warned him, no Lakshman, do not react to the pain. Do Shiva Yoga. Be like Shiva who is indifferent to both pleasure and pain. Pretend as if everything is normal and keep walking. So this reminds me of a story from autobiography of a yogi. So in this, what happens is that, I don't know, you want me to speak through the mic? Okay, let me continue because this is going on. So in autobiography of a yogi, there is they are in a platform, railway platform. And this was in a pre-independence era. Okay? So there was somebody who was, they were waiting for a thief. There were these soldiers or police everywhere, and they were waiting for a thief who had been stealing in the trains, a dacoit, whatever. So there was a rishi who was passing by, and they all thought that this rishi is the thief. So the rishi is in his own, he is in his own world. He didn't bother. So they said stop, and he caught his hand. The rishi kept walking. So that soldier with his sword, he cuts off his hand. And that rishi is in his own world and he keeps walking. He does not even realize. Suddenly the other policemen tell, what have you done? It is a great sage. Look at him. He did not even feel the pain. Now you will be cursed. So immediately he goes and he falls at the feet of the rishi. And he says, of this sannyasi. And he says, I'm sorry. He comes to his senses. He looks at his hand. He says, don't worry, come at this cave in this forest tomorrow. And he takes his hand along with him. Blood is pouring out. He just takes his hand and walks. The next day, when he sees him in his cave, his hand will be back and fixed. He'll be absolutely normal with his hand fixed back in its place. So what it says is that even when things are happening to the body, they are unaware of it. Because they have detached themselves. Their Shiva Yoga is so great that they have detached themselves from this character, that they don't feel any pain at all. They continue, they practice Shiva Yoga for the minute and the pain is out. In fact, a lot of the, and we have spoken about this in the previous sessions as well, a lot of the great rishis, munis, sadhu, sannyasis, babas, take upon suffering before they exit the world. Like, for example, Kanchi Dham, what is his name? Neem Karoli Baba had stomach cancer. So did this Ramana Maharishi. He also had stomach cancer. And this Ramakrishna Paramahamsa as well. Also Vivekananda. So we all say, they are all great Mahan Purush, but look at them, they all suffered. No, they took our suffering. And whenever they are in Ramana Maharishi ashram, they used to say, please go to the hospital, please do get treated. you are in pain. He said, why are you crying? This is only my body. Same thing for Neem Karoli Baba. He said, don't worry. They said, I want to, you have to get it surgically operated. And they insisted. So he said, fine, because you are insisting, I'm going, otherwise I don't want to. And even after the surgery, he said, this pain will not go, because it is the suffering of the world that I have taken up. Similarly, they say even Sita Mata, for all the suffering, you will know about it when we talk about the birth of Sita. Okay, when she took birth, it came from there was a uterus inside the earth. And the rishis were saying that nobody can take up so much suffering and live. So they said that her life, how did they even sustain her life, was that they tied her life to the Shiva's bow. So that's why nobody could lift the Shiva's bow, because she had kept her hands tied, her fists tied or something, her fists clenched. But when she saw Rama, she unopened her fist. The minute she did that, Rama was able to lift the bow, because her entire life was in the bow. So it was symbolic that when that person who breaks the bow, her life enters him. He becomes the guardian. And nobody was eligible to become the guardian of Sita Mata other than Srirama. Coming back to the story, then we will take it up afterwards, because we have a YouTube channel running. I will finish this and then just stay. Once the story is over, I'll answer your question. The pain was felt to real selves of Rama and Lakshmana and Vishwamitra too. Rama and Vishwamitra managed to insulate themselves from the pain by doing Shiva Yoga, but Lakshmana could not. Mere mortals like all of us cannot. Yeah? He had fallen to the ground, covered his hands head with his hands and kicking his legs in the air. Rama knelt down and shook him and said, listen to me, dear Lakshman, nobody is hitting you. They are hitting your unreal self, not you. Look, there are no bruises on your body. Everything is alright with you. Just detach yourself from the pain by doing Shiva Yoga. Come on, stand up. Ouch! Prince Ram started experiencing the pain himself again. He stood up, took a deep breath and did Shiva Yoga. Vishwamitra said, if we try to help Lakshman, we will become as weak as him, and then we will all slip into the trap of Tadaka. We have to leave him on his own. Come on, Ram, we have to pretend that everything is normal and walk forward. They left real Lakshman crying in pain. See how hard it is. But they don't know what is going to happen, whether he will live or he will die. And Rama is so attached to Lakshmana. But when the Guru says, leave him and go, insulate yourself, because there is an objective, there is a mission. Mission comes first, not your attachment to your brother. And that is why he is Purushottam Ram. He immediately insulated himself and said, let's go. They left real Lakshman crying in pain. It was not easy for Prince Ram. He was so attached to Lakshman that he could not even see him in the slightest pain. But in Tadaka's forest, he showed tremendous detachment and the Shiva Yoga power. He walked away from his brother, who was slowly slipping into Tadaka's deadly trap. The cries of real Lakshman stopped after a while, as there was no real Lakshman anymore. He had vanished into thin air. Now there was only unreal Lakshman lying unconscious and surrounded by a furious mob of forest dwellers enslaved by Tadaka. As real Ram walked deeper and deeper into the forest, He hoped that he would never see unreal Ram, who was held hostage by furious mob at the edge of the forest. But he was wrong. As he neared the center of the forest, where he was supposed to encounter Tadaka and her sons, he saw unreal Ram again, along with unreal Lakshman. Both of them were badly wounded and barely able to walk. They were shouting, "Come and face us, O covered Tadaka, face us." Look at drama, look at illusion. I can imagine, I know so many situations where I have done it. And I come out of it and I say, what the hell was even I, what was I even thinking? Just down this road, one day, one of my, I had parked the bike, okay? Sorry, I parked my car. And a guy came and he parked it right in front. I said, look, please remove your bike. I have to remove my car. He said, no, you reverse and go. So that became an ego clash. Now on another day, I would have said, chuck it, yeah, this guy is an idiot. And I would have just reversed and gone. But that day I stood my ground. I could have reasoned it out with him. Many times I reasoned with people and I said, look, there's no point in me getting angry saying, I try to engage them in a dialogue. So it gets them furious, but I walk away after that because thinking, there's no point in me getting angry. But that day I got angry. And I was like, there were heated exchanges. His friends came. And I was ready to, beat them all up. Okay, it was a matter of seconds for me. And at that time, my father came out of nowhere. And I can't imagine, because if my father hadn't come that day, it was so miraculous. And I could only think, so many times when I really asked myself, where is Lord Hanuman? Is he seeing me? Is he protecting me? Is he guiding me? Am I on the right path? And my mind goes back to that moment. Because in that moment, anything could have happened. Anything. They were all so furious and there were 4 of them and I was alone. And I know that when I'm pushed to a corner, I fight back. And that day, I don't know why I felt like fighting back. I haven't felt this way for like 15 years. But that day I would have fought back. And if I had fought back, I don't know what I would have done to all of them. It would have become a police case. It would have complicated my life. And my father came and he said, what are you doing? You guys go on and get into the car and go. Just don't talk. And then looking at my father, they also kept quiet. And I went away from them. Now, the thing is, these kind of moments keep coming to us where we lose our temper, we lose our mind. And the only thing that I can say is, if we have surrendered to Lord Hanuman, He is always watching us. He is always guiding us.
What we should do in these cases?
Shiv Yoga.
Be aware.
That is what he's saying. Shiv Yoga. Shiv Yoga, for any moment. Shall I go back and read what he said? Maybe you missed it. He also came late. He also came late, yeah. You were listening, right? You also missed it.
Actually, I came slightly late.
That's okay, no problem.
Maybe it's on the lines of being conscious and aware.
No, there is Shiv Yoga. See, Shiv Yoga Lakshman, Shiv Yoga. Shiva is indifferent to both fascination and boredom. This thought,
He treats this question and answer the same.
yeah.
That para. No, we recently read. You read it after I came.
Yeah. So anyway, what it says is that before we react with emotion, always practice Shiv Yoga for a moment. What Shiv Yoga does is to detach yourself and become indifferent to that moment. Detach yourself for that moment and become indifferent. Indifferent to your emotions and the other person's emotions or whatever else is there. And then react. Always practice Shiv Yoga. That answers your question.
You shouldn't be emotionally attached when you're talking. Because in the previous few weeks also you were telling me.
What?
When we are having any discussion with someone or any heated argument, emotional come out of the character.
Correct.
From outside person and he was giving an example.
That's what even the
So
studio does.
you do this every day, like you
No, only on Saturdays.
only on Saturday.
So they are saying, come and face us, you cowards, come and face us. See, imagine that emotion rings so true. It rings so true, right? Imagine you are lying there. Imagine yourself. You are if there is a clone of yours, you can see yourself all bloody and lying on the ground. What is your first thought? You will connect with him, right? You don't even have to see your clone. See a movie where the hero, like for example KGF, he's in that mine where all of them have been, that poor old man is being killed, and when he, hits everybody and he comes up on the left, how do you feel? You have that, right? Yeah, it's like, you're all charged, right? So imagine it's the same emotion. That guy, your clone, you're not even watching a movie, your clone. Imagine the magic of Tadaka, that your clone is right there and is kicking in the air and saying, come, coward, face us. Imagine, you will 100% connect with all your entire whole and soul with that person and say, let's go, give me the fight.
That's a good example, right? When we are watching a movie also we feel like so energetic.
Yeah.
As we are inside.
We feel like we are that character. Sometimes
Yeah,
so tightly
for hours together you're in that character.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like days. I remember
Even your dreams are like that, right?
Yeah.
If you're so attached to that. So imagine if the movie can do that, what if your own clone can? So now you imagine how difficult it was to break the Tadaka spell.
What was Tadaka's spell?
It is in this forest that is happening, right?
Okay.
You didn't. When did you join?
I joined while clones are.
Yeah. So that is the spell. What happens is that when someone enters Tadaka's forest,
Okay.
the clones are created.
Oh, okay.
So you attach yourself with the clones. Somebody else will come and start beating you. You will start feeling the pain. Soon you will disappear. Only that unreal self is there. The unreal, that means your soul has become attached to that, and Tadaka captures your soul.
Done.
So your body, that real Lakshman vanishes, no? And like that, anybody who comes, from birds to trees to every soul inside that entire forest was under the sting of Tadaka. She had the complete grip of of all the souls in the forest. And this was, so they say, right, so imagine when you do black magic, what do?
Yeah.
You offer
Possess
to,
them.
but in order to increase your power, what do they say? They do a human sacrifice. Or they say that if somebody like a magician or if he wants powers, a witch, what does she say? She'll say that I'll offer the firstborn male child to you. You've heard of that, right? It will happen in my friend's village, where nobody in his family, like 6 generations ago, there was a witch. For us, this thing I call witch is not really, in India it was never a witch, it was always a tantric or somebody. So she, in order to increase her powers, said that she worshipped whichever entity she worshipped, and said that the first born, whichever male child will be offered to you in my family generation. So even today in that family, whenever a male is born, he immediately dies within the first week. So what is happening? You are giving that baby's soul to that entity, whichever entity you are worshipping. No? So what happens? That you are enhancing the power of that entity. So here, imagine what has Tadaka done. She has captured the souls of all the people who have entered the forest, or everybody who is in the forest. So imagine how powerful she has become. So the more her power increases, the more the strength of the spell increases on the forest. So this is the spell that needed to be broken. That's how powerful it was. So the unreal Ram, and unreal Lakshman got their desire fulfilled as they encountered three scary creatures as tall as trees. They were Tadaka, Subahu and Marichi. See, if you read the book that I have given you, right?
Ram.
The Making of Ram. What do you read in that book? That huge Tadaka, Subahu and Marichi came and they attacked. What they don't know, yes, they were huge. They were the demons, but they were unreal. As unreal Ram and unreal Lakshman aimed their bows at their giant creatures, real Ram whispered to Rishi Vishwamitra, Gurudev, they are not the real forms of Tadaka and sons, are they? Engaging with their unreal selves would mean walking right into their trap. Where are their real selves? To find their real selves is the task for which I have brought you here, Rishi Vishwamitra said shortly. After a pause, he gave a hint to Prince Ram. Brahma Yoga. Prince Ram sat down under a nearby tree. He first used Shiva Yoga to shut his senses to everything happening around him. The laughter of the giant, unreal Tadaka and her sons, the attempts of unreal Ram and unreal Lakshman to kill the giants, and ultimately the entire forest disappeared from his view. So if you remember, we had read about how in Kaushalya Mata, she walked into the garden
And she could see.
and there was only white space. Why? You remember that?
Yeah.
Why
Even though
could-
she has powers to see, she wouldn't see, right?
Yeah, no, power, it's not powers to see, powers to experience.
Right.
Everybody, I mean, right now we are experiencing this temple,
So
right?
she had that karma that she could experience such a magnificent sight, but she would not.
Yeah, so how did she do that? How did she do that?
She detached.
No, she dropped all illusionary knowledge of what is around her. What is the illusionary knowledge? That this is a chair, this is brown, this is a bottle, this is a mobile, this is a thing, this is a table. All this is illusionary knowledge. If you remember that story where Srirama's sister
Shanta.
Shanta goes to that Rishi Shringa, who's his son is there, right? Who is being brought up without any illusionary knowledge, and he is able to challenge Indra himself because there is no illusionary knowledge in him. He doesn't. It is pure perception. In pure perception, you don't look at things and say, like if I go out on the road now, my perception is what? Only judgment, right? Because from my illusionary knowledge, I'm saying that's a Royal Enfield, that's blue in color, that's a Royal Enfield Interceptor, which is in blue in color. He has changed his exhaust. That's a Max Dueler tires. All that I'm seeing. But my mind is working all the time. But the minute I decide to drop that illusionary knowledge, what happens to me? Or I become pure perception. In pure perception, there is no reflection on the mind, which is comparing it with the knowledge that I have. Actually, this Shunya, that person who comes from Canada, right? He says for 1 year, he goes around, he does Bharat Bhraman, no? In that 1 year, he says the only thing that I practiced was dropping all illusionary knowledge. Only then can I see Lord Hanuman.
How to
You do that by always checking yourself. See, I'm doing it. See, I'm doing it.
Yeah, this happens.
So, if you do that continuously, then you see certain symbols and you try to decipher those symbols, right? Like that chakra.
Repeating numbers and.
Like if you see Shri Chakra,
Shri
right?
Chakra.
If you see Shri Chakra, you know it is Shri Chakra, your mind gets involved, your mind gets activated. But when you drop all the illusionary knowledge, then your mind doesn't get activated, you are dropping the mind. When you drop the mind, then you are not having anything that is sticking to the mind. It is just going and coming, that's it. That is called pure perception. So what she does, what Kaushalya Mata does, is pure perception. She drops all the illusionary knowledge that is a flower, that is white in color, that is the sky, these are the fruits, this is this particular tree, this particular tree is an apple tree has apples, apples are red, everything is gone. So there is only white space.
It's so tough, right? Like
That
our
is what,
everyday life is about.
if you see the movie Matrix,
Yeah.
when Neo enters that white space,
Yeah.
where there is only white, that is exactly what it is. He has dropped all illusionary knowledge and he is now ready to receive.
Right.
And that is when Morpheus comes and says, and I feel this is what oneness is about, this is what enlightenment is about, where at any point in time you become pure perception. You are no longer holding any. So when rishis do, I've met quite a few of them who say that I've done Bharat Brahman, they drop all illusionary knowledge, which means that I'll give you an example. They say that when Swami Vivekananda was meditating, it was all black around it. Why? Because there were over 1,000 mosquitoes which were sticking to his body. And he was in Samadhi. So you can imagine that. So I asked sannyasi saying, how do you manage? Where do you sleep at nights? How do you do all that? For them it doesn't matter. They have given up for them that body doesn't matter. They have given up all luxuries or powers of keeping their body and all that. There is no attachment to their body anymore. So to find the real selves, okay, now it is Brahma Yoga. So Prince Ram summoned all his spiritual power and asserted, I am not Ram, I am Ram Lakshman. Ram and Lakshman are not two people, they are one, and I am that, Tattvamasi. After a while, a quivering white light appeared before Prince Ram, which materialized into Lakshman. Real Lakshman was back now and he hadn't come alone. He briskly said, Brother Ram, I have seen the real selves of Tadaka and her sons. Look, there they are. Where there were giant demons a short while ago, stood two middle-aged ordinary men, and skulking behind them was a frail old lady, barely able to stand. These two men were aiming spears at them. One of them managed to throw the spear, but before it could reach them, Lakshman shot an arrow, which first destroyed the spear and then pierced the man's head, and he fell to the ground dead. Another man got frightened and started running away. Lakshman aimed another arrow at him and shouted in rage, Face me, coward! Let him go, Lakshman. This puppet will lead us to his master. Ram said with an air of godliness. Tadaka and her sons were just puppets of Shukracharya. When they were disrobed of their dark powers, they became ordinary humans. Tadaka was looking as though she had been held captive for years inside a dark room. She was barely able to breathe. She stared at the dead body of her son Subahu and then slowly lifted her head. Her tiny eyes met the eyes of Prince Ram for a second and she too fell down dead. Her another son Marichi, who was allowed to run away from the spot, later played an important role in the abduction of Devi Sita, which led to the ultimate war. Lord Hanuman concluded, now that the soul of Yajman Pranava has been purified, Baba Matham start the ritual of Arpanam for him. In view of the request from devotees to obtain the chapter, okay, all this is there. In fact, I'll continue this in the next one. There is the thing of Lord. The next chapter is Lord Hanuman talks about Shiva's bow and the sacrifices of Devi Lakshmi in her Sita avatar. Okay, and when he starts, he asks a question: O Mathams, I told you the Lord Hanuman's Leelas in Tadaka's forest. Can you tell which power was used by Lord Ram to dismantle the fortress of Tadaka? Yajman Pranava. Let us express our gratitude to Yajman Pranava. Yajman Pranava replied at once, Shiva Yoga, my lord. Lord Hanuman was expecting this answer. He said dismissively, if it was only Shiva Yoga, any Rishi could have defeated Tadaka. Rishi Vishwamitra himself was a great Shiva Yogi. Why did he feel the need of a young prince Ram to defeat Tadaka? Urmi, let us express our gratitude to Urmi. Urmi, a young Mathan, stood up and said tentatively, O Lord, I think Shri Lakshmana played a crucial role in defeating Tadaka. At this, Lord Hanuman smiled in such a way that it felt to Urmi like an encouraging pat on the back. She said matter-of-factly, Lakshmana slipped into the trap of Tadaka like an ordinary human being. Lord Ram pulled him out of the trap, but Lakshman did not come out alone. He brought into the light the real and fragile form of Tadaka and her sons. If it wasn't for Lakshmana, Tadaka would have remained in her invincible demonic form. That is right. But what is the core force which rid the Tadaka's fortress of dark powers? Can you tell me? How does Lord Ram feel towards Lord Lakshmana?
Both are one.
Both are one.
Exactly. And what is that power? Okay. Lord Hanuman said, flashing a look of consolation at Urmi before turning to address the entire assembly. O Mathans, the minds of most of you, including that of Urmi, are circling around the answer, but not able to catch it. The answer is love, the power of love. Love occurs so naturally to humans that their minds do not register its presence. Like a fish remains oblivious to the presence of the sea, even though it lives in it. Oh yes, love, Urmi said, cursing her mind. I was getting there, Lord. It was the bond between Lord Rama and Lakshmana which made it possible to do what they did in the Tadaka's forest. My mind can't help but visualize that the real Tadaka was hiding herself into a deep pit of evil. Lord Rama sent Lakshmana into the pit. When Lakshmana caught hold of Tadaka, Lord Ram pulled him out with a rope, the rope of love. That is a great visualization, Urmi, Lord Hanuman said with a broad smile. Be it the pit of ignorance or the evil or karma or desire or anything else, if somebody who's inside the pit is at least so awakened as to catch hold of the rope of supreme knowledge, a rishi can become his guru and pull him out. Reminds me of the story of Angulimal that Buddha did. But someone like Tadaka, who's too deep into the pit of evil, refuses to recognize the rope thrown by the rescuer. What should the rescuer do? Send a fellow rescuer into the pit. That is why Lord Ram sent Lakshmana he let him slip into the trap of Tadaka. He was assured by the fact that the rope of love connected him with Lakshmana that could be used any time to pull him back. Love between Sri Rama and Lakshmana rescued the souls of the entire Tadaka's forest, while the love between Sri Rama and Mata Sita rescued the souls of entire Manavloka. Let me tell you how. So, next session. Thank you.